I'm Amanda Kiss reporting for LCTV from Ward Pound Ridge Reservation at the 75th anniversary of the Trailside Museum. The anniversary celebration includes a guided tour, tree dedication ceremony, lunch, and as you can hear behind me, some live music. The weather has certainly cooperated for us today, and it's a beautiful day to explore what the museum has to offer.
Well, girl, you taught me how to hurt real bad and cry myself to sleep. You showed me how this town can shed a dream. Another lesson about naive fool came to Babylon. Found out pie don't taste so sweet. And now it's guitars and Cadillacs and hillbilly music along the streets that I go home. Yeah, my guitars, Cadillacs, and hillbilly music, the only thing that keeps me hanging on. Well, ain't no glamour distance, a land of lost and wasted life, and people's scars that can bury home.
Westchester County Executive Robert Astorino, it's a pleasure to have you here today.
Thank you. This is great. What a perfect day. What a perfect fall day.
We couldn't ask for any better than this.
We did ask for it and we received it.
Yes. Now, why do you think it's so important to have a museum like this up and running in northern Westchester?
Well, we're fortunate in Westchester. We have the 50th anniversary this year of the Westchester Park system. And this is certainly a jewel, not just for northern Westchester, not just for Westchester, but for the entire Hudson Valley region. Ward Pound Ridge is just spectacular. It's the biggest park we have. It is just absolutely stunning with the meadows and the fields and the trails. And you could bring your kids up here, spend a great day. You could have a romantic walk. You could do anything you want. It's just so gorgeous up here. And the Trailside Museum is amazing because it's been open 75 years. Think about what's happened in 75 years in our country. And through it all, including when they were just starting out through World War II, they were able to stay open and become more and more popular. And so many people come through here. I think we had about 8,000 visitors last year just to the museum. So it's a great opportunity for people to come, enjoy the day, and we're here to celebrate.
Well, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very, very much.
This is New York State Assemblyman Robert Castelli. What do you think is so special about the Trailside Museum?
Oh, I think it's a fabulous piece of Americana. And, you know, in a day and age when people forget their heritage, what the beauty of America is, here at the Ward Pound Ridge Reservation, and this museum, it brings them back to a bygone time where people recognize how important it is and exactly all the beauty and the fundamental wealth that we have in this area.
Westchester County Legislator Peter Harckham, nice to see you today.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
How do you think the Trailside Museum compares to many of the other parks in Westchester County?
Well, Ward Pound Ridge is one of the oldest parks in America. The Trailside Museum's 75th anniversary represents our heritage, our ecosystem here in Westchester County. It's educated countless generations of our young people. It's an asset that can't be replaced.
Good afternoon. I'm Linda Press Wolfe, board member of the Friends of Trailside Museum at Westchester County's Ward Pound Ridge Reservation. Welcome. Thank you all for coming out on an extraordinarily beautiful day to celebrate this milestone occasion, the 75th anniversary of the Trailside Museum of Westchester County's Ward Pound Ridge Reservation. To kick things off, first up at the podium is Jason Klein, curator of the Trailside Museum. Jason has been curator since 2009 and is responsible for many of the outstanding year-round programs offered here at the museum for both children and adults, including seasonal activities such as maple sugaring, storytelling, and guided hikes, as well as the popular summer camps and internships for youth. Please give a warm welcome to Jason Klein.
All right, well, thank you, and thank you everyone for coming out. I'm glad the weather warmed up a little bit. I was afraid that we were going, that the hot chocolate and coffee was going to go quickly and we wouldn't be able to get rid of anything else. So, definitely thanks for coming out. It's great to have so many members of the public here today, and also, of course, all of our dignitaries gathered for this milestone. Within the first 37 days of his presidency, in the heart of the Great Depression, Franklin Delano Roosevelt created the Civilian Conservation Corps. In March of 1933, Camp 210, also known as Camp Merkel, was located in what is now known as Ward Pound Ridge Reservation. Soon after the creation of this incredible park, 2 members of the Bedford Garden Club, Eloise Payne LaCour and Delia West Marble, both dedicated to environmental conservation and the educational opportunities in such a wonderful park, helped secure funding for the creation of this wonderful place we see behind us, the Trailside Nature Museum. Built by the CCC in 1937, we're gathered here 75 years later to honor this collaborative effort and to celebrate Westchester's treasure and the second oldest interpretive center in the country, the Trailside Nature Museum. The museum acts much as it did then, allowing visitors a closer look at the flora and fauna of the reservation and educating groups and individuals on the importance of Westchester's history and biodiversity. Now, Linda gave me a little more credit, I think, than I'm due. I'm just one in a long line of great curators, some of whom we have here today, and some of whom may take an opportunity to speak today. So there are, well, I can take credit for some of the programs run in the last 3 years. It's really the great history of curators here that make Trailside such a special place and what it is. With over 120 school groups, over 220 campers, and over 9,000 visitors per year, we hope that this valuable resource will be available to Westchester's residents for at least another 75 years. Enjoy the ceremonies, and please let us know what we can do to make your next visit more enjoyable. So I'm going to turn the podium back over to Linda for the rest of the ceremonies.
Thank you, Jason.
I read somewhere that the funding was cut to that.
The museum and Ward Pound Ridge Reservation are part of the Westchester County Park System, which is also celebrating a milestone. It's 50 years. The county oversees 50 parks, nature centers, hiking and biking trails, as well as other outstanding recreational services that provide our county residents with hundreds of things to do. The county also brings us Art and Park program featuring the work of local artists, 2 of whom are exhibiting today here in the reservation. All of this is made possible by Westchester County government under the watchful eye of our county executive. Please join me in welcoming Westchester County Executive Robert P. Astorino.
Thank you, Linda. Good afternoon to everybody. What a gorgeous day. This is beautiful. We, believe it or not, there is a rumor going around, but apparently it's been confirmed by several. And this beautiful sanctuary almost of many, many thousands of acres used to be, or was looked at one point as a site for the United Nations. Now, could you imagine? Yes. We would have been welcoming Ahmadinejad here a couple of weeks ago. I think it would have been a little louder than it is today. So we're glad that never came to fruition, because we are very happy and pleased and proud to have Ward Pound Ridge in Westchester. It is just an amazing destination, not just for Westchester residents, certainly not just for northern Westchester, but for people around the entire Hudson Valley. This is a wonderful destination to come and hike and go through the meadows or trails or do anything you'd like to do here, especially with people that you love or your children, to be able to spend time with them. So we're grateful for all of you that are here today. We are extraordinarily proud of the 75th anniversary of the Trailside Museum, where just last year we had over 100 groups from schools come in, 200 students from summer camps, 8,000 visitors were here last year to come to beautiful Ward Pound Ridge and to the Trailside Museum. And it could never have happened without the tenacity of the Bedford Garden Club. Because way back when, in 1937, when there was little money to go around following the Depression, they made sure that they went down to Washington, D.C. to lobby congressional representatives and the president for money to make sure this could happen and continue to be funding. And so they kept the museum open through the wars. They established the first nature trails here at Ward Pound Ridge, and we are so proud that they're still part of Ward Pound Ridge and, of course, the Trailside Museum. So it gives us great pleasure to call up two people, but first we'll start with Pat. Pat from the Trails Museum could come over here. Is Pat here? Norman Doe? He's working. You didn't bring a hamburger? Okay. Pat, we just wanted to say congratulations and thank you for all that you do, and the Trailside Nature Museum, on behalf of all the people of Westchester, this is for our gratitude and our warmest wishes for many, many more years to come. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I guess Beth Herr will represent the Garden Club because Leslie's not here. Is that true? Oh, Leslie, come on up. Leslie Wortman. We are, again, 75 years is quite a long time, and we're so happy that you have been part of this, your club, and we wanted to just again say thank you on behalf of everybody. So typically for 75th anniversaries you would get diamonds. You ain't getting diamonds, but what we will give you is an $8 proclamation on behalf of the people of Westchester, proclaiming today, October 13th, 2012, to be the Bedford Garden Club Recognition Day in Westchester County. Thank you so much for everything that you've done this night. Enjoy the rest of the day. I know we have some more speakers coming up.
Thank you so much, County Executive Astorino. Appreciate it. Another regular park visitor is our own county legislator, Peter Harckham, representing Bedford, Lewisboro, Mount Kisco, Pound Ridge, North Salem, and Somers. Pete has hosted a number of events here in the reservation, bringing new friends and old to enjoy the park's amenities. Pete is a good friend of the County Parks Program and Trailside Museum. Please join me in welcoming to the podium County Legislator Peter Harckham.
Thank you very much, Linda. Good afternoon, everybody. What a spectacular day. As Linda said, I represent this area, and it's really a blessing. To me, this is the most beautiful spot in Westchester, perhaps one of the most beautiful spots in all of New York. It represents our heritage, our love of the environment, and the people who had the foresight 75 years ago to set up this nature center. We've educated generations of our children here about the importance of good stewardship for our environment and the land and the water. And it's made a difference in so many people's lives. So we want to thank everybody from the full team at the Parks Department, the Garden Club, all of the folks here at the Trailside Museum, and all of you, because we couldn't do this without public support and the volunteers and all of the help that you provide. So Linda, where are you? Let me give this to Linda. On behalf of the entire Westchester County Board of Legislators, welcome, representing the million people of Westchester, we do proclaim this Ward Pound Ridge Trailside Museum Day and Bedford Garden Club Day. Thank you all so much. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. This is a wonderful honor, and I'm so glad and honored to be accepting this on behalf of Trailside Museum and Ward Pound Ridge. Thank you so much. Thank you. And I'm going to turn this over to Jason Klein if he's in proximity. No? Okay. Yes. Thank you so much. The Ward Pound Ridge Reservation straddles the towns of Lewisboro and Pound Ridge. Joining us today also to celebrate the 75th anniversary of the museum's operation is Town of Lewisboro Supervisor Peter Parsons. Peter is a longtime resident and frequent park visitor. In fact, a sizable hunk of the reservation's 4,700 acres falls within the hamlet of Cross River, one of 5 hamlets in the town of Lewisboro that Supervisor Parsons oversees. Please welcome to the podium Town of Lewisboro Supervisor Peter Parsons.
Thank you. And my job would be a lot easier if everybody was as nice to me as the Ward Pound Ridge Reservation is. Here I can get peace, here I can get quiet, and here I can enjoy wonderful walks, whether it's the short walk, the Leatherman's Loop, the slightly longer one, a low flatter, along the river, or if you're feeling really energetic, there is the walk which I call the high walk, although I don't think it's called that, but it does Spy Rock, the Bear Petroglyph, Dancing Rock, and then finally you end up at the old site of the fire tower where you can rest and recuperate before you go back down to leave normally, because I'm pretty exhausted by the time I've done that walk. I love this place. It is a sanctuary. It is a curative for the soul. It reminds me of the gods where I grew up in Wales, where every stream and every wood had its own god. I love this place. And I thank all the people who work to keep it like this. I have got a resolution here adopted by the town board of the town of Lewisboro at a meeting held this week. And I'll read at least a part of it. Whereas the Trailside Museum at Westchester County's Ward Pound Ridge Reservation is now celebrating the 75th anniversary of its founding in 1937, when it was built by the Civilian Conservation Corpsmen, based in the reservation at Camp Merkel, in order to instill in the unemployed youth of New York the discipline needed to become productive members of the workforce. And whereas it became the first interpretive nature center in the country, so realizing the dream of the Bedford Garden Club and providing a vital dimension to the educational experience of our children, ensuring that they enjoy a fascination with the flora and fauna with whom we share this earth. And whereas it houses the fossilized remains of a mastodon from Lake Kitchewan, so letting us imagine the prehistory of this area. And whereas it was expanded to include the Delaware Indian Resource Center to increase our understanding of the Lenni Lenape Indians of this region. We thank you all for the workers here, the friends, and everybody for keeping this magnificent institution alive and vital. Pat. You're here.
Okay, the elk is just about done. I'm not kidding. About.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, that's next. That's if you all behave.
That's from the town of Lewisboro. It didn't even cost $8 like the
From the town of Lewisboro, thank you so much, Supervisor Parsons. Local resident Robert Castelli is an avid supporter of our local parks as well as frequent reservation visitor. Robert is our New York State Assemblyman for the 89th District, including Bedford, Harrison, Lewisboro, Mount Kisco, Newcastle, North Castle, Pound Ridge, and White Plains. An environmental advocate and friend of the Trailside Museum, Please welcome to the podium New York State Assemblyman Robert Castelli.
Thank you, Linda. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for coming out here and enjoying this beautiful place on a wonderful day like today. First, I'd like to speak relative to our Bedford Garden Club. For decades, the Bedford Garden Club has provided beauty, dignity, and grace to not only the people of Bedford, but all the people of Westchester County. And though they have been honored many times before, we never get tired of honoring them again for all the wonderful work they do. So, Leslie, on behalf of the members of the New York State Assembly, we would like to honor you and the Bedford Garden Club for all the outstanding work you have done and wish you many, many decades of outstanding service to our community again. Thank you. Now we come to the museum itself. I've had the honor of being on this preserve for 30 years. I patrolled it once as the resident trooper here in the town of Lewisboro. A decade ago, I protected it as a member of the town board. And now I still have the honor of protecting it as a member of the New York State Assembly. I don't know if that means I'm in love with this place or you just can't get rid of me. But whatever the case is, it is a tremendous honor to have this place so close to us in our backyard. It brings us back to a bygone era that lets us know of the beauty and the grace and the dignity that is our great nation. So, Jason, on behalf of the members of the New York State Assembly, I would like to present you, from all of us, the citation honoring your 75th anniversary here. And we shall hope that while we both won't be here 75 years from now, there'll be people wise enough to honor this place at that time, too. God bless and good luck.
Thank you, Assemblyman Castelli. Lewisboro Town Councilman Dan Walsh has a great deal of experience in the park, as well as his many visits to the museum spanning, I think, decades. Dan is a frequent visitor to the park, hikes the trails, and his sensitivity to the environment, you can often see him cycling about town and also in the park. He's a great advocate of the museum, of the park, and also the environment. So please join me with a warm welcome for our Lewisboro Town Councilman, Dan Walsh.
I'll be quick, and you've heard enough probably from officials, so I'll just try to say a few words as in my capacity as an area resident. I grew up in this area, and since I was young, right over on Route 123, in grade school, I used to come here on our field trips, go to the museum. The feeling of mystery, honestly, that came out of that, seeing some of the animals that you wouldn't see necessarily if you're walking around in the woods, at least in those days. They seem to be coming back. But it brought this sense of mystery. And then throughout school, coming here for field days and learning to cross-country ski in these woods, coming right across Kitchewan Lake and into the backside and spending whole days here. I just want to share with you my affection for this place. It's really a kind of a beating heart in the midst of our towns. It keeps us all healthy, and even though I've spent a lot of time here, I'd say I still take it for granted, and probably we all do to some extent. So I'd just like to celebrate with everyone, and thanks for the hard work of all the volunteers and the staff to keep it going and always remind us how important it is.
Thank you, Councilman. Well, as we wind things down, at least the presentation portion of today's program, I just wanted to thank everyone for coming out on this beautiful day, sharing this special occasion with us, being part of this very special anniversary program. And we couldn't have picked a more perfect day for this celebration. I also would like to thank some of our sponsors and also acknowledge we have quite a renowned author here today, Bernd, Heinrich, whose many books include Life, Everlasting, The Animal Way of Death and Mind of the Raven, Investigations and Adventures with Wolfe Birds. He's here to meet and greet and also personally sign his book. He's available. He's on the grounds today. I believe he's got a table set up inside the museum, so we'd like to thank him for joining us today. We're also pleased to acknowledge the following for their support of today's event: the Book Cove, the Femia family, Femia Landscape and Site Development Company, the Friends of Trailside Museum Board of Directors and its members, the Harvey School, and of course, Westchester County Parks Department and Trailside Museum staff. Thanks to all those who made it possible today. I also want to thank the Isaac Raz Band for joining us today. I believe that after the presentation, they're going to continue with some marvelous entertainment. And we appreciate everyone turning out today. Thank you so much for coming. We have a great buffet set up, some terrific home-cooked foods for you to enjoy. And then as you're wandering about, we have an extra special visitor here today at the park. He who stands firm is going to be wandering around the museum grounds. He'll also be available under the tent and outside of the tent today, and he'll be happy to answer questions about the museum. He was one of the first curators here, as well as share some of his stories about the museum and the park. He may have something a little bit later on to present to us. Oh, okay. Oh, yes. You'd like to make a presentation? Okay. Yes, I am. Mm-hmm.
If I may, very briefly, I want to honor this event, the 75th anniversary. When I'm 95, I may make the 100th. I'm 70 now. I want to just make two presentations to the museum and all of you for the day. First of all, I saw these first from Gladys Tantaquidgeon at the, if you could, I saw these first in Connecticut at her little museum, and she actually said, we make these for the Manititutuk, or little people, special little offering baskets that are only for little people, to make those offerings to the PRWE, the Pound Ridge Wood Elves, as we call them. Here it is, a beautifully native-made elf or little people offering basket.
Thank you. Thank you so much. May I give this to Jason Klein? Okay, thank you. All right, thank you. Thank you.
Yes, for Jason.
For Jason,
now,
thank you.
Lastly, because they have under glass the mastodon from Lake Kitchewan that was found, amazing. But to show the kids more closely, I want to offer all of you a real Siberian mammoth tooth. About
Thank you.
16,000, maybe 30,000.
Wow, amazing.
This is Matt Henyon, who is the manager of the Outdoor Discovery Store for LL Bean in Danbury. What brings you to the Trailside Museum 75th anniversary?
Well, I was contacted by the Ward Pound Ridge Reservation to come here today just to experience the environment, experience the park. LL Bean was started 100 years ago, this year actually, by Leon Leonwood Bean, and he was a true outdoorsman, and what he instilled in the company, which has become our heritage, is just exposing people to the outdoors, getting them outside, just healthy lifestyles. And my job as the Outdoor Discovery School manager is to continue that tradition, to get people outdoors. And I think through our partnership with the Ward Pound Ridge Reservation, we can use the facilities. The Trailside Museum's beautiful, the grounds are beautiful, and getting people out here, it's got a real community feel. The trails are gorgeous, and we're just looking for, a place to explore. And LL Bean is happy to be in the area, and we're happy to be here.
This is Justin Satera, and everything at this table you made yourself by hand?
Yep.
Now, how did you go about doing that?
Well, everything is all based on primitive skills, and it comes from mostly local materials. The rocks for the flint knapping came from Oregon because there's no good rocks around here for flint knapping, but everything else is based on basically primitive living skills for connecting with nature more and interacting with nature. So the hides came from roadkill deer and deer that were hunted, and I tanned them with the brains of the animal. The furs were roadkill, and I make my clothes out of them. The baskets came from a black ash tree, and everything just local materials, what you can do with what's around you, not just for survival, but just for primitive living and getting more connected to your environment.
This is Caitlin Bull, who has just moved to the area. Now, this is your first time at the reservation. What do you think of the reservation itself, and especially the Trailside Museum?
I thought it was great. We went on a really nice hike to see the fall colors and beautiful views of the river, or I think it's an aqueduct over there. So, yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Can we expect to see you back here soon?
Definitely, yes.
Great, glad to hear it. Thank you. Jason Klein is the curator here at the Trailside Museum. This is one of the hidden treasures in Westchester County, and you have many different artifacts. We have 2 different rooms with this setup. What type of artifacts do you work on and have displayed here?
Well, we've got quite a variety of artifacts here. There are some describing the natural history of the area, some describing the human history of the area. So, for example, with the natural history, we have some artifacts that talk about the geology of this area, or the flora and fauna that exist currently, the biodiversity of the area. Some pressed specimens as far as plants are concerned. Also, we have mastodon bones that were discovered by Lake Kitchewan in the late 70s and late 1970s that we have on exhibit here. And then talking about the human history, we have a lot of artifacts dealing with the Native Americans or the American Indians that lived here historically and used the reservation possibly as hunting grounds, but it was close to their villages. And so we have some artifacts from that, as well as some more modern exhibits from the farming era, as Ward Pound Ridge was originally a conglomerate of, or at one point, a conglomerate of dairy farms. So some farming artifacts, even some as recent as the CCC, the Civilian Conservation Corps, who were here in the 1930s.
There's a lot going on here, and I also took a look at the schedule, and there are a lot of programs and events that you have going on this season and a lot of school trips. What can we look forward to?
Well, we do run a series of programs on any given Saturday. So every weekend we have a public program. The programs, I think all of them, are free to the public. There's just the entrance fee into the park. But the public, and these programs are brought to you by Westchester County, and some of them co-sponsored by the Friends of Trailside. But they're free to the public, and we do various things. So sometimes we'll take a hike, going to a specific location within the park, maybe a named place in the park, like the Leatherman's Cave, who was a hermit who lived around here in the late 1800s and did a regular route. And we lead hikes next weekend. On the 20th, we have a fall foliage hike. So we'll go to certain named places or go out for a specific topic. We do a lot of bird walks in the spring. We do some stream studies. We do, but we try and just have different things. And once a month, we do a program geared towards children, whether it's making backyard bird feeders or whether it's creating holiday decorations from nature, just trying to really get the public in and know a little bit more about the park, because that's really what we are, is an interpretive center for Ward Pound Ridge Reservation.
And how can residents find out about these upcoming events? Is there a website that they can visit?
Yes, they can visit westchestergov.com to find our calendar of events, but it's also on friendsoftrailside.org. So there are 2 different websites that will have our calendar of events. We also have them here at the museum as well as in the park office.
Great, thank you so much for joining us today. This is Bernd Heinrich, who is a distinguished author, and we have a lot of fans who are anxiously waiting with their books ready for you to sign them. Would you like to tell us a little bit about your most recent title?
Well, my most recent title is Life Everlasting, and it's a book about, well, it is about life, but the topic is really about death, and you can't really, learn much about life until you know something about death, because, death cycles into other life, and that's what I'm going to be talking about, because, you know, I feel that puts everything in the loop, including ourselves, into one loop, into one whole, and then try to look at the whole thing of nature, how it all fits together and how we fit into it, and, you know, what implications it has for you know, caring for the earth, caring for ourselves and feeling good about ourselves. And it has a lot of very interesting stories that are about animals and plants and how they interact and interplay. And that's what I want to talk about.
And what inspires you to write about nature?
Because I'm inspired about nature, and you know, I think nature is the greatest show on earth, and you know, what could be more interesting than the real thing, what's actually out there, and it's just more amazing the more you look at the details. So I'm really interested in the details and how they fit into the larger patterns. In this particular book, I got started because somebody asked me about their own mortality, what would happen to them, and if I had some ideas about it, and so it's not something I'd really thought about too much, but I said, what the heck, you know, it has all kinds of implications, and so I just started looking at the things around me that I saw and seeing more and more, and so it was kind of an exploration for me too.
That was probably a very interesting experience for you to go through that and to write that.
Yes, it was, because I had to think about myself as well, and I had to think about what was relevant to him, and so I thought about what's relevant to everything.
Well, thank you so much for coming and joining us today. We're honored to have you here. Margie Kundhardt is from the Friends of the Trailside Museum. Thank you for joining us today. It is quite an accomplishment for a museum to be celebrating a 75th anniversary. How has the museum evolved in the past 75 years?
Well, it has evolved in the programming that it offers the community. You know, I'm not sure. I've been around here for at least 20 years, and of course there are a lot of people here today who've been around a lot longer than that. So we've been collecting oral histories from them today, and I'm looking forward to hearing what they have to say too. But even in the last 20 years, you know, our school programs have evolved. So, you know, in many ways, so we do an awful lot of American Indian oriented programs, especially in the fall, for thousands of school children in the area, in the tri-state area, actually. But, you know, going forward, we have a lot of hopes for the future for the museum and the park in general. The two are really integrated. And the museum hasn't changed very much over the last 40 or 50 years. Really, the exhibits are the ones that we see right here and in the other room, and they're stuffed animals and wonderful things. But, you know, museum exhibit technology has changed a lot over the last 20 years. And our current curator, Jason Klein, has a vision for the future that would include rethinking a lot of our exhibits and bringing them into the 21st century and appealing to people of all ages in new ways using new technologies. And so that's on our list of hopes for the future, and that would involve a capital campaign, of course. And the other thing that we have in our plans for the future is rebuilding the fire tower that used to stand on a high point in the park, and we're just waiting final approvals to move ahead on that also. And we think that that'll raise the visibility of the park and the museum programs in the wider community and garner support for its programs in a time of budget cuts and austerity. It's important for the community to know what a resource it has in this park and in the museum programs. And we think by bringing that kind of visibility to it, we'll broaden our base of support and, you know, be able to make our case for staying open and functioning well into the next century. So we're excited on all these fronts. We have big plans for the future.
Well, thank you.
Hi, I'm Ellen Brief. I have a landscape and floral watercolor show currently at the WPA Gallery in Ward Pound Ridge Reservation. It is running to coincide with the fabulous 75th anniversary of the Trailside Museum, and a portion of the proceeds of the sale of the work goes towards Ward Pound Ridge and the Trailside Museum. I love this park. I was inspired by the views in the park from my many walks through it to do to many of these paintings. I took photos and took the photos home with me and looked at them and worked up many paintings that are in the show based on the scenes from Ward Pound Ridge Reservation.
This concludes the 75th anniversary of the Trailside Nature Museum. Thank you for watching LCTV. I'm Amanda Kiss.
Well, jambalaya, crawfish pie, filet gumbo. 'Cause tonight I'm gonna see my shadow meal. Think it's hard, just how play on my own.
You're watching Lewisboro Community Television, Channel 20.